did Stephen tell you? Please, Simon.
Nothing. Nothing. Except for the old detail I've been there for a long time. So you see, everything's alright. Things changed for the worse. Though it might if someone would talk about it.
How long have you known for?
Oh, about 10 months it would be roughly. How long has it been going on for?
Well, for about 10 months it would be. How did you know?
There's no point, Beth.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. How did you know?
Well, frankly, with sudden habit after years of such admirable conversational economy, and such day-to-day matters as what you've done today, it's becoming quite a trifle coarse.
You mean you knew I was having an affair because I became boring?
No, over detail, that's all, darling. And as you are anxious to count the stretches of time which you seem like would be interested, finding how you actually fill them. So if you see, so you sweetly devote your paradoxically imaginative skill to rendering them, for my sake I know, completely uninteresting. My eyes may be glazed, but my heart was touched.
Thank you. And is that all you had to go on?
Well, you've doubled your bar opportunity, see. Time was, you take one immediately before heading out for the day. These last 10 months, you've taken one immediately upon return too. And once or twice, while in the twilight zone, you were addressing with an unfamiliar endearment.
What was it?
Foxy. At least I took it to be an endearment. Is it?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's quite alright.
And did you know it was Ned too?
Ned too? Oh, you mean the house not was Ned? No. That was the little detail I mentioned Stephen did provide. Ned. There I was surprised.
Why?
Oh, I don't know. Perhaps because, well, no offense to Ned, whom I've always, as you know, thought was a very engaging chap. And no offense to you either, come to think of it. I just imagine when you did have an affair, maybe with someone of more
What?
consequence over consequence.
He's of consequence to me.
And that's what matters quite.
What did you mean when I had an affair, you said?
And since the hypothesis is now a fact.
But you used the emphatic form, when I did have an affair, which positively implies that you assumed I've had an affair, didn't you?
Well, given your nature, darling, the fact that so many people do have them these days, there's no point being brutal to say about it, even if you're having one with Ned. Can I put it that way?
Given what about my nature?
It's marvelously responsive, a warm, responsive nature. And once I realised for taking the decision not to have children, and the fact that you work every day too, and they're for meat traps, and pretty exotic ones too, from young neat Spanish counts to experienced Japanese businessmen, and not forgetting old Ben himself. It was only realistic.
From boredom, you mean? You know, I'm having an affair because I'm boring. And you assumed I'd have him from boredom. That's why I'm in love with Ned, is it?
I'm prepared to think of Ned as a very engaging fellow. Sure, if his wife loves him, what shouldn't mine?
You are being astonishingly helpful.
I don't want to be. I don't want to be. So I tried to avoid this conversation, Mom.
You'd like to go back, would you? To where I came in and simply pretended I'd popularly trained from Salisbury. And here I was, old and faithful Beth, back home about to take a bath as usual?
Yes, I'd love to. I thought it was Canterbury.
It was neither. We spent the night in a hotel in Euston and the morning in Ned's little office at school, agonizing.
Agonizing? Good God, did you really?
About whether we should give up everything to live together properly.
Properly?
We want, you see, to be husband and wife to each other.
Husband and wife to each other? Is it up to such double duty? What did you decide?
Do you care?
Yes.
His wife isn't well. She's been under psychiatric treatment for years, and his daughter's autistic.
Oh, I'm sorry. It seems like you quite want to leave him.
But I could still leave you.
Yes.
But you don't think I will, do you?
No.
And why not?
Well, because I know you'd rather live with me than anyone else. Excluding Ned. I know you'd rather live with anyone than live alone.
You think I'm that pathetic?
I don't think it's pathetic. I don't want to live with anyone except for you, including Ned. And I don't want to live alone either.
What do you want to live at all?
What?
As you hold such deeply contemptuous views of human life, that's Ned's diagnosis of you.
But the descriptions of my symptoms came from you. Did it?
He says you're one of those men who only gives information to little bits of life to get through to you. He says while we should envy your serenity, we should be revolted by the rock from which it stems. Your sanity is the kind that makes people go quietly mad around you.
What's an elegant paraphrase? Tell me, did you take notes?
I didn't have to. Every word rang true.
But if it all rang true, what did you bring it back to Ned?
It's a way of keeping in touch with him. If I forgot in the middle of a sentence that he's there and mine, I might begin to scream at you and claw at you and punch at you.
Why should you want to do that?
Because I hate you.
Ring, ring. Oh, more than should.
You know, the most insulting thing, that you let me go on and on being unfaithful without altering your manner or your behavior. One, you don't care about me or my being in love with somebody else or my betraying you. Oh, good God, least of all that. But you do wish I hadn't actually mentioned it, because then we could have gone on, or at least you could have, pretending that everything was all right. No, not pretending. As far as you were concerned, everything was all right. And you probably still think it is all right. And you're all those times we've made love, sometimes the very same evening as Ned and I, and yet you took me, in your usual considerate fashion, just as you take your third of a bottle of wine with dinner or your carefully measured brandy and your cigar after it. And enjoyed it all the more because I felt guilty? God help me guilty, and so tried harder for your sake. And you admit that. No, not admit it, simply state it as if a difference made on an extra voice or something in your bloody Wagner. Don't you see? Don't you see that makes you a freak? Damn. Damn you! Oh, damn. So you might as well listen to your Wagner.
I must say, you've quite warmed me up for it. And what are you going to do now? Have your cleansing bath?
No, go to Ned for a couple of hours.
Oh dear God, more agonizing in his perky little office. Or is that just Ned's brand of love play? Excuse me, but what precisely has all this been about? He played in my reticence over the last 10 months, but what has all this exposition served? What's it been for, Beth? Ned's not going to leave his wife. You're not going to leave me. You don't even think you're going to leave me. We had a perfectly sensible arrangement, you and I. We're happy enough together. Something so if you want, but still happy. You go on and on with Ned until you run off with him. Why? Why do you have to go muck it up with all your infantile agonizings?
Because there's a problem.
What problem?
I'm going to have a baby.
What? Whose?